The Swan Thieves is the story of Andrew Marlowe, who is a psychiatrist in Washington, D.C. in 1999. He's a very orderly, professional person, and one day he receives the great case of his career, Robert Oliver, who is a genius painter who has been arrested for trying to stab a painting at the National Gallery of Art. The Swan Thieves tells the story of how Andrew Marlowe attempts to help and heal his patient, of his patient's obsession with a love story in the 19th century, and how painting and art can really change a life and create a love. And my personal obsession is the way the past haunts us as modern people, what the past means to us, how difficult it is for us to escape the past. And I just found myself writing this story in parallel because I think there are so many ways in which we have a story in common with people who lived long ago and whom perhaps we never knew. So this was really a way of showing the similarity between past and present. The public success of The Historian was a total surprise for me. A happy surprise, but a complete surprise. And I knew already that with each book I write, I would really like to learn something new. I don't particularly want to repeat what I've done before. And I think actually, in a way, although I thought while I was writing The Swan Thieves that this subject is very different, it does have something in common with The Historian, which is the attempt to take an image or a legend that's really very familiar, Dracula or the Impressionists who are so famous, and try to make something fresh or new or real or a little bit radical out of that subject. And that's something that also interests me a lot. I think of myself as a literary writer, not a commercial writer, and if none of my books ever sold, I would probably still go on writing because I love to write. It's just what I do. But I found that when I was writing The Swan Thieves, although I was writing for the first time for a deadline and a contract, I really had the same feeling of being completely alone with my characters. You know, when I'm working and the work is going well, at least, I forget my name, I forget where I was born. I certainly don't remember that I had a best-selling first novel. It's a kind of, the act of imagination itself is a kind of protection against that. I think a writer who's sitting there thinking about how to make something a bestseller is thinking about something very different, and it's almost always a disaster to do that anyway. So for me, the pleasure of writing is in creating, and if this brings some pleasure to one reader or 5 readers or 2 million readers, it's the same kind of happiness, really. I feel very honored to touch people's lives in some way.